Verse 13. Elijah said to her, don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said, but first make a small cake of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. And then make something for yourself and your son. Man, that sounds rough. I'd be on the news right now if I came up on a widow that's finna eat and die, and I took all her stuff and said, make me something first, and then for you. Preacher, self-serving. Preacher, ripping off the widows. Preacher, ripping off the poor and the indigent. Preacher, you know, we'd be jacked up. Elijah said, make something for me first. Then cook something for you and your boy. But I like what he said to begin the conversation. He said, don't be afraid. Tell somebody, don't be afraid. This is a year where we cannot be afraid to step out on faith. We cannot be afraid to obey God. We cannot be afraid to do it like he says. We cannot be afraid to go where he says go. We cannot be afraid to do what he says do. We cannot be afraid to give what he says give. We cannot be afraid. This year, you got to get over the fear of the possibility of you not having enough for yourself. And if you obey God, you're going to find out that you'll have more than enough for somebody else. This is God's economy this year. It's going to be God's way this year. How many of y'all are looking for a super on your natural? How many of y'all are looking for God to give you supernatural increase? And I'm not talking about this flipping, name it, blame it, grab it, blab it. I'm talking about for real supernatural increase, supernatural debt reduction. I'm talking about God blowing your mind. I'm living in expectancy of God doing for me what I cannot do myself. God providing for me simply because I went where he told me to go, and I did what he told me to do, and I stayed there, and I waited there, and I listened for his voice before I moved again. When you do what God tells you to do, God will provide for you. Do what the man of God says. 2 Chronicles 20:20 says, believe in your Lord your God, and then shall you prosper. Believe in his prophets, then shall you have success. And that's what you want. You want to be able to obey God through the man of God. She was obedient after she received her promise and before the manifestation of her promise. That's another thing we got to do. Obey him when we don't see nothing. Verse 14. But this is what the Lord God, the God of Israel, says. Here's a promise. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord gives rain on the land. There was a famine she was living, and it's just going to eat and die. And then the prophet says, the food, what you're going to do when you make that, it will not run out until it rains again. And you're going to have plenty when the rain again. If my people were to call by my name shall humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, I'll hear you, never forgive your sin, and bring healing. I'll send rain on your land. She was obedient. This woman gave out of her poverty. This woman gave in a famine. You can't expect God to abundantly bless you if you're not obedient with the little that you have, with the conditions